Imagine stepping into a new job, full of excitement and hope, only to feel the cold stares and whispered conversations of your coworkers. That's exactly what happened to Marcus, a young black professional starting fresh at a prestigious firm. From day one, he noticed the subtle yet undeniable signs: team lunches he wasn't invited to, inside jokes he wasn't part of, and important meetings where his contributions seemed invisible. It was clear. Marcus wasn't welcome. Despite the isolation, Marcus stayed focused, determined to prove himself. He worked tirelessly, always going the extra mile, even when no one was watching. His sharp mind and quiet resilience didn't go unnoticed by the higher-ups, even if his co-workers tried their best to ignore him. Slowly, Marcus's efforts began to speak louder than the whispers behind his back. But the real twist came just a month later, during a team meeting that left everyone speechless. What happened that day not only turned the tables, but left those who doubted him in shock. Marcus wasn't just there to fit in, he was about to lead. Stay tuned to find out how Marcus transformed from an outcast to the boss, and a lesson his coworkers will never forget. Marcus had always been someone who believed actions spoke louder than words. Growing up, he was taught that hard work and integrity would carry him through life's challenges. So, even when he felt the coldness from his team, he pushed aside the hurt and focused on doing what he came to do: excel at his job. Behind the scenes, Marcus faced struggles he didn't share with anyone. He'd sit alone during lunch breaks, scrolling through his phone to look busy, while the others laughed together across the room. He overheard coworkers discussing projects they hadn't shared with him, leaving him feeling excluded and frustrated. But Marcus refused to let bitterness take over. Instead, he used every moment to learn more, refine his skills, and stay ahead of the curve. What Marcus didn't know was that his quiet determination was catching the attention of people who mattered. The department director noticed how he handled tough assignments without complaint. His insightful reports began to make their way into executive meetings, where his name started to come up more often. Still, the team treated him as if he didn't exist. They had no idea the wheels were already in motion for something that would change everything. As the days turned into weeks, the divide between Marcus and his co-workers only seemed to grow. They kept him at arm's length, sharing polite smiles in passing, but never inviting him to fully join their circle. Small moments piled up, like when group projects were planned, and Marcus was given the dull, thankless tasks while others got the spotlight roles. What stung the most wasn't the extra workload, it was the way they dismissed his ideas. Whenever Marcus spoke up in meetings, suggesting improvements or offering solutions, his comments were met with silence. Minutes later, someone else would repackage his exact thought, and suddenly, it was brilliant. Marcus swallowed his frustration, staying professional, even as the injustice ate at him. Behind closed doors, things were shifting in ways his co-workers couldn't see. The senior management team had been reviewing employee performance metrics, and Marcus's name repeatedly came up. His reports were precise, his strategies forward-thinking, and his ability to execute under pressure was unmatched. Meanwhile, tension in the office was brewing. Whispers floated around about an upcoming team restructuring. Most saw it as just another shake-up, but for Marcus, it was unknowingly the turning point. His co-workers had no idea that the very person they'd excluded was about to shake their world. The atmosphere in the office grew tense as the team restructuring announcement drew closer. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some employees worried about layoffs, while others speculated promotions were on the horizon. Marcus, as usual, stayed focused, keeping his head down and continuing to deliver his best work. His co-workers didn't notice how often he was pulled aside for private conversations with the higher-ups, or how senior leaders had begun stopping by his desk more frequently. One morning, Marcus walked into the office to find the entire team unusually quiet. A department-wide email had just landed in everyone's inbox, announcing an emergency meeting. The subject line read, "Leadership Transition, Important Updates." The whispers started almost immediately, with employees throwing around names of who they thought might be promoted to the newly announced management role. Most assumed it would go to one of the long-standing team members, someone who had been part of their tight-knit group for years. No one even considered Marcus. In fact, a few co-workers exchanged smug glances, silently agreeing he'd probably be overlooked again. When the team finally gathered in the conference room, the director walked in, holding a folder that seemed to carry the weight of the moment. All eyes were on her as she prepared to reveal the decision that would turn the office upside down. The room fell silent as the director opened the folder, her expression calm but unreadable. As many of you know, she began, "We've been evaluating team performance and leadership potential over the past few months. It's clear this department is ready for a change, a fresh perspective to take us to the next level." Marcus sat quietly in the back of the room, his face neutral even as his heart pounded. His co-workers leaned forward, waiting to hear one of the familiar names they had been whispering about all morning. The director's pause felt like an eternity, and then she said the words no one expected. "The new team leader for this department will be Marcus Taylor." The room erupted into a mix of stunned silence and scattered gasps. Marcus could feel the weight of every pair of eyes turning toward him, some wide with shock, others narrowed with disbelief. The co-workers who had ignored him for weeks now exchanged uneasy glances, realizing the full impact of the announcement. But before Marcus could even process the news, the director continued, "And there's more. Marcus has also been selected to lead a high-stakes project directly overseen by corporate leadership." The tension in the room was thick. What had been an awkward team dynamic now threatened to explode as the reality of Marcus's new role began to sink in. This wasn't just a promotion, it was a game changer. The room was still heavy with tension as the director handed the floor over to Marcus. For a moment, he hesitated, standing at the front of the room with all eyes on him. He could feel the disbelief radiating from his co-workers, the same people who had dismissed him from the start. But Marcus didn't let it shake him. "Thank you," he began, his voice steady but firm. "I know this might come as a surprise to some of you, but I want you to know I'm here to build something better for all of us." He looked around the room, pausing to meet the eyes of even those who had excluded him. "I've seen what this team is capable of, and I believe we can achieve great things together. This isn't about me, it's about us." For a moment, the room softened, but the quiet tension lingered. That's when the director added one last piece of news. "And to support Marcus in this transition, corporate has approved an entirely new team structure. Effective immediately, he will also have the authority to reshape the department, including assigning new roles." A ripple of unease spread through the group as the reality sank in. The same co-workers who had once sidelined Marcus now found their own roles dependent on his decisions. Marcus didn't gloat or retaliate. Instead, he extended a hand of fairness, offering opportunities to those willing to work with him. But as Marcus began his new role, one unexpected twist surfaced. A company-wide memo revealed that Marcus had been quietly nominated for his promotion by someone in the room. The identity of that person was never disclosed, leaving the team to wonder if one of them had seen his potential all along, or if it had been a strategic move from someone higher up. The mystery lingered, but one thing was clear. Marcus had earned his place, and the team's dynamic would never be the same. As the days went on, the office began to adjust to the new reality. Marcus, now in charge, approached his role with the same determination and grace that had carried him through the toughest weeks. Instead of focusing on the past, he focused on the future, creating opportunities for collaboration and breaking down the invisible walls that had once divided the team. Slowly but surely, things began to shift. Some co-workers who had once dismissed Marcus started to see him in a new light. They realized his promotion wasn't a fluke. It was the result of his hard work and unwavering focus. A few even approached him privately to apologize, acknowledging the ways they had excluded him. Marcus accepted their apologies without bitterness, choosing instead to lead by example and show what true leadership looked like. The mystery of who had supported his promotion remained unsolved, but Marcus didn't dwell on it. Instead, he focused on proving to everyone, including himself, that he belonged. In time, the team grew stronger, and the tension that once filled the office gave way to a sense of respect and unity. Marcus's journey wasn't just about becoming the boss, it was about showing that resilience, kindness, and staying true to yourself can turn even the toughest challenges into opportunities for growth.